This is Reading and Writing with BookTok. I am Jason Doro. I'm going to be moderating the panel, and the panel is going to be talking about BookTok, which is the community of readers and writers on TikTok that has been growing and impacting publishing and reading and writing. And in the panel, we'll talk about BookTok and how we've experienced it and tips that we have. We'll also be taking questions. There's a microphone at the center there, and we have prepared other things to talk about too. So if you don't have questions right away, we'll have that covered. And so that I don't forget, I want to first thank Blueberry as the sponsor for this track. And after you see the panel, you can rate it on the app. That'll help us to do it again next year if you like it. And you can follow on Twitch at DC Digital Media. It's being streamed there, and I believe it will be archived there as well. And let's see what else I have here. We have the official Dragoncon charity is Open Hand. Dragoncon will match $100,000 of money raised during the con, and we have this bucket right here you can drop donations into at any point. And I think that's everything off the top. So what we'll start with is just sort of introducing ourselves, and we'll do a little intro and then start into the topic. So would you want to start down here? Is that
That's fine by me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Catherine E. Webel. I am an author of various epic fantasy series. Currently, I have 3 out, and they range from young adult, new adult, and adult literature, depending on how more on the positive side of fantasy-like versus how grimdark and gritty, more like Game of Thrones end of it. So I think we'll be talking about our books towards the end in particular, right?
Who knows?
Who knows?
We'll see what direction everything goes. But yeah, we'll be talking about BookTok and our books and how we've interacted with it. So yeah, for sure.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll just then keep it very brief, but I've been a self-published author since 2016, and it was a slow road for me because I didn't realize how many advantages authors have using social media. And so I'm that person who I feel like is always the last one to know these things. But I will have to say my experience with BookTok has been extremely life-changing experience, and I'm excited to talk more about that for you guys.
All right, great. As I said, I'm Jason Doro. I am a fantasy author and a voiceover artist, and I also came into BookTok kind of late. I came into it at the beginning of this year, and my account's grown pretty quickly on there. I'm originally from Atlanta, and I now live in the Orlando, Florida area, and I'm very active on BookTok. I post each day, and mostly post as an author on there, but also as a reader, and I have really seen a lot of positive stuff coming from BookTok and from the community as far as just personally as well as for my career as a writer. And so we'll get into some of that as we go through the panel, but that's me in a nutshell.
All right, hi, my name is Emily Huffman. I am the author of the Shattered Trilogy, an epic fantasy series that debuted this March. If I'm not reading and writing, I'm probably dabbling in something nerdy, from board games, video games, tabletop RPGs, crafting, cosplay. I'm very much a person of many hats, so try a little bit of all of it. And I've done a little bit of all of it on my BookTok as well. So you have cosplay videos at the beginning, shifting into some crafting stuff, shifting into reading and writing content. And I'm excited to be with all of you today.
I am Drew Bailey. I can't tell. Does this work pretty well? Like I'm getting.
Maybe closer.
Speak loud.
You guys hear me? Good enough?
Yeah.
Is this one better?
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Magic.
You found the secret.
Now I'm scared to talk into this. Okay, so I'm Drew Bailey. I write fantasy and horror. The Giftborn Chronicles is the series that I'm currently writing. The first 2 books are out. It's like dark fantasy, grimdark. Kind of, it sounds like the opposite of what Catherine's writing, but we each have our way of getting out our stories. I joined BookTok around. It was early this year. I've been on TikTok for a few years, but just didn't really post. Just kind of seeing how it was like an entertainment thing for me. But then I started seeing a lot more BookTok type videos based on what I was liking. And yeah, I started to really, get into putting videos out there about myself as an author, books that I like. So I usually live in that world between what I like to write, my experiences like on a daily basis of what I'm writing, and then from, what books that I'm reading and that kind of thing. So.
Excellent. Well, the first thing that we had is a question that we were going to sort of all answer. You've started answering it, so if you want to, you can continue on. I was going to ask how you got started on BookTok and what your initial experience was with getting into the community and how that went.
Okay. I mean, I would say it's going pretty well. I don't think that I have like a massive account or anything like that, but it kind of like, oh, no, we can do a little.
Sorry.
You're good.
No, you're good. It was something where like I feel like I really just needed a way to talk to people about writing. Like I have people that are in my life that do read, but don't really read or write themselves that much. So wasn't really having like conversations with people that weren't at cons on a daily basis. And this was a way for me to just kind of get out what I'm feeling for that day. And also, you know, if someone makes a comment or something like that, allows me to feel connected in a way. Because I kind of like, as a person that has been writing for 10 years, like I still felt very disconnected from a community type feel. And for whatever reason, like I started to get enough feedback and just like enough content through BookTok that I could relate to. And then once I kind of like found, you know, somewhere between, we'll say 50 to 100 different authors or BookTokers on there, I really started to find new books and like different new genres that I hadn't really explored or anything like that. So my world with reading and writing went like this to this, it felt like within a month. And that's why I've continued with it. Yeah, like that's been my kind of my initial experience. I'd say I've been pretty steady from like March of this year until now on BookTok. So
Awesome. What about you? How did you get started in BookTok and sort of find the community?
So I was kind of the opposite, where I was very, very reluctant to get on BookTok. I'm like, videos, putting my face out there, that's not going to be for me. I'm going to hide behind my books and maybe make some Instagram posts. But I had a couple friends that were like, you have to get on BookTok. And then once they found out I cosplayed, they're like, you have to go cosplay on BookTok right now. So after months of them harassing me about that every week, I finally jumped on. I made a bunch of cosplay videos of my characters. I was spending way too much time on each video. I would spend like an hour getting the perfect sound, the perfect clip, all the cosplay put on and everything. And I was like, this is a lot. Like, this is way too much. So I'm like, I'm done with BookTok. I stepped away from it and came back to it a couple months later with the mindset of, I'm just going to make content that I can make, that I can put out there, and that I guess the level of effort I'm putting into it is worth what I'm getting out of it. So I'm not spending 2 hours on one video, I'm spending 15 minutes. And that was for me the real game changer in terms of actually being able to put out content consistently and start getting that interaction and that community built up, because BookTok is a platform that if you disappear for a while, people just don't see you. They don't connect with you in the same way. So when I was trying to do that high effort content, I couldn't post consistently. Whereas when I shifted to just, I'm going to post what I'm working on today. I'm going to post something fun that happened in my book, or just, you know, whatever I'm excited about in the moment, that enabled me to do that consistency. And so that was probably similar to Drew, March or April of this year, when I started really posting consistently and getting more involved in the community. And now I make, you know, the same way I dabble, rather than trying to stay really niche. It's whatever my project of the week is, let's post about that. Let's post about spraying book edges. Let's post about my writing, my editing, you know, whatever it is.
That's cool. Yeah, I initially, until the beginning of this year, I had completely the wrong idea of what TikTok was. I had never interacted with TikTok before. I had this idea that it was specifically for teenagers to do dances, and that was all I knew about TikTok. And then I started hearing from other authors that they were finding a lot of success through BookTok on there, and I started seeing that there were BookTok sections in bookstores showing up, and I was like, I need to find out about this and get in on this. So at the end of January, I just kind of went into TikTok with kind of a capitalist mindset that I'm going to go here, I'm going to promote my book, and I'm just going to laser sight myself to selling copies through there. And then when I arrived, I realized that I wasn't good at making just targeted marketing videos, but I enjoyed talking and building a community and taking part in the community at BookTok like that. And my account started growing really fast at that point, when I was just talking directly to the camera and giving tips on writing and publishing and talking about things that were interesting to me. And so that was how I got into it. I initially came to it just wanting to make money off of it and sell copies. And then now I still make some promotional videos on there, but most of my content is just talking to the camera or making silly meme videos with trending sounds and doing that kind of thing. So getting involved in the community, like they're saying, it's just blown my network of readers and writers from this to just immense at this point. And it's an everyday thing that I look forward to and enjoy.
Jason, I did want to say that I'm always impressed at your videos when you can just talk straight for 3 minutes about something and I'm just like, I can't do this. Like I gotta like cut a little bit. So
Yeah.
You kill it on those videos though.
I appreciate it. I do voiceover work as my day job, and so I'm used to presenting and trying to go through and talk steadily. And I've done podcasting in the past and things like that. So I come from that kind of background, and I do videos about things that I find really interesting. So a lot of times I have to sort of limit myself to the 3 minutes. And I've only done. You can do videos on TikTok up to 10 minutes. I've only done one up to 10 minutes, and that's when I got really wound up about a topic. But I usually kind of rein myself in a little bit. But thank you so much for that.
I guess my story is kind of a combination of some of what you heard, is that I was very hesitant to join TikTok for a while, and my fiance, thank you back there, he was the one very adamant saying you should join this community, you should check it out. It's doing a lot for you. Sorry. It's doing a lot of good for other authors, and you should really check it out. So again, always the last one to try anything. I eventually got on, and it took me a little moment to figure out what to do, because there is that kind of shock of you're talking to a camera and you're going to have a video, you know, of your face and your voice going out there, and you're just saying, hey, here are my books. And there is that kind of an awkward, you know, getting over that hump. But as I got into it and I realized, yes, there are the algorithms that play an effect. And if you join the BookTok community, most likely you're going to see a lot of romance forward. But what you should, you know, when I figured out, oh, if you engage in books, because again, I'm more in the high fantasy, I'm low romance to no romance and more action forward. So when I started engaging to those different authors, I started finding some other authors out there that have very similar kind of genres and finding similar readerships. And when I kind of got a little used to creating these videos, I realized, no, I don't necessarily have to have my face in front of it. You could show just your book cover. There's the page flip, and you put a quote, you know, overlay from your book. So if you're a person who's not comfortable with your face out there, there are authors who don't ever show their face and just show quotes of their books and pretty backgrounds. And you can just do whatever's comfortable in your field, or you could be an engagement side where you go and ask a question. And that's one of the other things I do is I'll ask just a general question about books. It's my question of the day. I'm like, can you, you know, name a book that has, I think recently I was like, a mom as a main character. And someone's like, oh, I don't know if I can think about it. But then as they start thinking about it, they start bringing out all different kind of books, and it was kind of an engagement thing, and the readership really likes to engage, and they start investing in you. And the same thing with other authors is it's a huge community and great network to just learn from, and I love doing that. So yeah.
And very early in my time on TikTok, you reached out to me and asked if I wanted to do a live with you at that point. I remember that was one of my really early lives that I did. And so, yeah, so we kind of went through that gauntlet together, I think.
Yes. And that's one of the kind of another fun thing that when you do reach, and I know if you're on different platforms, TikTok is fabulous because you can grow your following really quick. And so there is a perk at different levels. One of the first perks is if you reach 1,000 followers, and that sounds terrifying when it sounds like 1,000 followers, but it actually is not that hard to reach that goal. And then that perk is you can do live videos. So you can live stream on TikTok and have interactions with any viewers that are logging in. You can invite co-hosts. That's what I do. And I'll have another author and we'll just talk about fantasy or books or writing or just answering general questions. And it's a lot of fun to do those. And it's a great way to allow people to get to know you, meet you. And again, with that live interaction, it's another personal connection. And I think readers invest in personal connections with authors. And the same thing with other authors. When they get to know you, they are more apt to help you out if you have a situation or an area that you're uncomfortable with, you don't know. They're a lot more likely to help you out and educate you further.
Yes, absolutely. I've learned so much in the time that I've been there. I feel like every day I'm learning something new and trying to sort of figure out the platform still. But yeah, everything that you said. And just as a reminder, we have a microphone in the center here. If anyone has questions, you can come line up at the microphone, and we'll keep talking otherwise. But the next thing that I had that I wanted to touch on a little bit, there's been, I think all of us are indie published authors, I think it's safe to say. And indie publishing right now is at a point in general that I think of it as being a similar time to when Netflix came up and Spotify and all these places that were threatening the traditional way of putting out music, of putting out movies and content. And indie publishing, mostly because of Amazon, is doing that to traditional publishing now. Penguin Random House is trying to buy Simon & Schuster now, trying to make the 5 big publishers go down to 4 big publishers. And there's a lot of stuff going on with antitrust hearings and things like that at this point. And I thought it was really interesting at one of the hearings recently, the CEO of Simon & Schuster specifically said that because of Brandon Sanderson's recent indie publishing Kickstarter, that they see that as an actual threat. And he used that word, that it's more of a threat. So indie publishing is becoming a really big thing, and TikTok is helping a lot with that because it gives voices to authors who wouldn't have the big publishing platforms that traditionally you need in order to get your word out there and get your books out there. So I wanted to go through and just sort of ask what the experience has been, how TikTok has impacted our careers as writers through using it. So we'll start with you, since we haven't started with you on a question yet.
Okay. Yeah. So building a little bit off what Jason said in terms of helping indie authors find a voice, TikTok is very unique in that your content is often shown to people who haven't interacted with you before. When you're posting on Facebook, Instagram, it's all generally going to your followers, people that have already seen you, seen your books and said yes. But with TikTok, it's going out to anyone on the For You page. And so people always say, like, it doesn't matter how good your book is if people don't see it. And that's a big problem that indie authors face, and TikTok lets lots of different people see your book. So that's probably been the biggest thing, just in terms of having that wider audience that you're able to reach so readily. It's also, though, taught me a lot about marketability, because when you're writing and you're working on your book, you look a lot at story structure, you look a lot at characters, and there's so many resources to teach you those things. And marketing was just kind of this elusive dark cloud, like looming and slowly getting closer as I got closer to publishing, where everyone's saying like, oh, trad agents will reject your book even if it's great because it's not marketable. But what does that mean? And so TikTok is a way that's kind of directly shown me, what does it mean to be marketable? Well, marketable means that in 15 seconds, I can get someone to say, yes, I'm going to go read your fantasy book instead of the other 30 fantasy books on my TBR. Or, yes, this is the book for me. And so it kind of reframed the way I look at my stories, not just in terms of making sure I have a strong plot and a strong characters, but I have a way to easily convey that to people who are new to me and new to my brand, in a way to say, okay, let's go read this book right now.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree with that. For me, it was a way to take a little bit more control over what I was doing with my book and the audience that I was trying to reach with my book. I think that I had no real concept at all, even though so this book was published the middle of the year last year, June last year. And at that point in time, like, I'd spent years writing and didn't really have a good idea of what I needed to do for the marketing side of it. I was completely reliant on just friends at Falstaff Books, which is the small press that I'm with. They did a great job in kind of like giving me ideas and cues of, this is what we do, this is what we've seen that are successful, but they were not using anything like TikTok at that time. You can actually find them on TikTok now, but this was something that I decided to try on my own. And like I said before, like when I kind of earlier this year, right after the release of the second book, I started to get a little bit more traction on TikTok, like people genuinely interested, asking, a little bit more about what it's about. And those kind of things, like, I mean, build me up. They make me feel like everything that I've done is worth it. Even if it's only one comment on a video, and you get one comment a week or something like that. For me, that's why I do it. And I mean, that's the reality of it. Some videos, depending on if you get a little more traction, like it just gets pushed out to a lot more people, that'll get you more followers. But for me, what's more important is that, talking about my book with someone that has read it and, cared about it and taken the time to actually send me a video either leaving a review or, discussing how just it affected their life and how they related to a certain character. That's the most like rewarding thing that I've had. And I don't think without like BookTok, I don't think I would have been getting those experiences. I would have been relying on reviews probably from faceless, readers that would have been on like Amazon or Goodreads or something like that. I think, getting those videos have really helped boost my confidence. And then to what Emily was saying, I also agree that in terms of the marketability, since I was writing book 4 in this series, like as I've been on TikTok, it has definitely made an impact on me as a writer in terms of what I now want to like market in my book, just seeing what's been popular and that kind of thing out there. So it is a little bit of a double-edged sword. Are you going against, what your initial intent was with the story? Are you copping out, or is this a way for you to find a larger audience and feel better, feel like you're reaching more people about it, so you feel better about yourself? So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword in that, but I welcome that challenge. And I feel like, I think that is a good, that's probably been the biggest positive in terms of the effect of BookTok on me as a writer and how it affects my story.
You want to go next?
Okay. Well, I don't want to like totally replicate everything, so I'll kind of mention some of the other aspects that I like about being on BookTok as an author. And I guess I'll start off with the fact that obviously with these algorithms, you do have to kind of post regularly. Whatever your regular is, the algorithm will kind of assess, and you want to then be consistent with that. Now, there is the term going viral, and that is something I've yet to officially achieve, but I think by definition, it is 100,000 views in like 3 days. Now, that's a lot. But even though I've never been officially viral, I can see great impacts from other videos that have done far less. And I had one that did very, very well for whatever reason. And it's always the ones you never expect. You could try really hard, put your heart into this one video, and it does okay. And then you throw one up, and all of a sudden that's the one that seems to kind of pseudo trend. But I've had a couple of these times where, for whatever reason, a video just connected with people and they were sharing it, and I saw sales go up and up and up, and reviews go up, and new followers coming in. And so that's a really nice thing about this platform is just the ease it can have. I don't know if I'm wording that right, but the way you can quickly gain a following, quickly reach new people. And again, it kind of goes with the old philosophy. A book cover lures people to the blurb. The blurb lures people to the first page. The first page is the book itself, et cetera, so on. Well, you need people to see your cover. So having a platform like TikTok is nice because people finally get to see your cover and kind of go through that funnel to buy into your books. But I really like, all that aspect of this community. And again, just reaching new people and being able to, another big point about this platform is that you can arrange your account to, whenever you post a video, auto download onto your phone. So then you can repurpose that video and cross promote it on your other social media, which is very nice because time is money. And being able to take these videos and then share them on Instagram or Facebook and then share that content. And if a video works one, it might work on the other, but you never know. But it's a nice way to develop a lot of content for different platforms if you are on different social media, and just use your time to film one video and it goes 5 different places, which is another fun thing and nice thing about being an author here, because I like that kind of moving content versus just pictures.
Yeah, absolutely. I need to be better about other social media. I have accounts on Instagram and on Twitter and all of that, but TikTok's the only one that I actively maintain. But I need to do, like you're saying, and repurpose content. If you, one tip, if you repurpose content from TikTok to put onto Instagram as a reel or onto Facebook or somewhere, there are websites that you can use to remove the TikTok logo from the video, because if you don't do that, there are things put in place on Instagram and elsewhere that they'll say, hey, this was originally a TikTok video. We're not going to push it as much as we would another video. So you can strip the TikTok logo off and then repurpose that. So that's a good sort of thing to do if you're doing that. I need to do that more. I need to get more of my videos there. But like you were saying, going viral is a very good thing to do. I have never gone viral myself. I have built up a good following and have a really good engaged community, but I've been doing it just bit by bit and just daily posting and engaging with followers, answering questions and talking with people. I think as far as individual videos go, the most views I've ever had on one video is like 21,000. So I am far behind what most people who have an account my size have. I have friends who have videos that have like 500,000 views on them. And a friend of mine, you all probably know her too, Emily Blackwood, was a writer who was on TikTok. She had written, I think, 3 books in a series, and they weren't really selling that well. And she wrote another new book, and it wasn't at first selling well. So she started making some videos to promote on TikTok. And one video just for some reason hit. She got just hundreds of thousands of views on it. Overnight, it built her career. I believe she's been open about this. I think the first month that happened, she made something like $17,000 selling that book. The following month, she made, I think she said it was over $20,000 with that. And so yeah, she's had, I think, 2 big viral videos that have hit just about her book, and that's built her career, basically. I mean, the quality of her writing, of course, as well, and it's brought in readers, so you can't just have just anything and have it hit and be successful like that. But she has done super well with that, to the point that I think she's evaluating and seeing if she can go full time with it now and quit her day job. So that's the power of going viral. But you also can, like I was saying, build an account over time and have not the overnight kind of success, but just build it through just grit and putting out videos and putting out content, engaging, and have it build up that way. And like everyone was saying, I think it is better to have a really engaged community that reacts to your videos, talks with you, leaves comments, and knows who you are, even if you have a lower follower count, as opposed to having a higher follower count when you don't have that kind of engagement, because you really want to build that community, as opposed to just being someone who puts a video out there and people don't really know who you are, but one video might take off. You want to really have that interaction and have that personality, and let your followers feel like you're a friend or a resource to them that they can interact with. And in my experience, that's what's really helped me with growing my account. And I know that all of you are good with doing that kind of thing as well. So I think that's a good path to success. And as far as how it's impacted my my writing career, I would not be selling any books if it were not for TikTok, because it's the only thing that I've ever done that has worked for really moving copies of my book. I've done paid ads on Facebook, on Amazon, on places just all over the place. I've never had anything really pick up. And TikTok, just through interacting, and I usually will do things like I'll do a viral video, or not viral, but like a trending kind of video with trending audio, and I'll just be holding my book as a prop, or I'll be using it as something. And those kinds of things, just people will see it, they'll like the cover, and they'll find it on Amazon, and it'll just take off, and I sell copies that way. So so it's been essential to me in that regard. So
Just to piggyback real quick on the Emily Blackwood thing, because I think some of her more recent videos bring up a really good point, kind of about the psychology of TikTok and how it's designed to have you chasing those views, chasing those likes. So you think, oh, I'll get this viral video and everything will be great. And, she's talking about how she is still kind of chasing that. Like, she had it happen, and now, she was looking at her sales this month, and she was like, they were so down. But then I looked at my original goals of the year, and this is still far surpassing those original goals I had made for myself. So I think people will just start chasing that, and it can be a really negative spiral for your mental health. Like, we're talking about a lot of good things about TikTok, but it can be draining, and it can be something that kind of sucks you in and doesn't let go. And so just remembering, not every video is going to do well. Your low view videos are still just as valid as your ones that get thousands. And just understanding that it's just about that consistency and putting content out, and keep doing what you're doing what you enjoy and what you're intrinsically, getting value out of, and not just focusing on those numbers and those views and likes and follower count. Because if that's all you're focused on, it's not going to be the same positive experience it could be if you are just making your content, interacting with your community, and having all of that as a sidetrack.
absolutely, that's a great point.
I think it's important to make quality content, but at the same time, I view TikTok as being like a book marketing lottery. Like, I've had the most random videos, showing my book do pretty well, and I didn't see it coming. So that, I feel like that's the safe way to look at it, in a way, like the best way to look at it.
And TikTok can pick up old videos and push them like a month or two after you originally put them up. Very often you'll put up a video and if it's going to do well, it'll pick up over the next day or two and you'll get a lot of views and interaction on that. But I have had experiences that it's been kind of funny sometimes that months after the fact, suddenly TikTok will start pushing an old video. And I've had to be more mindful of what I leave active on my account. I will have things like I'll put up a video saying that I'm going to be doing a live with another author at a specific date, and I'll put that up to promote it, and then I'll have the live happen, and then it'll pass, and then 2 months later I'll have forgotten to take down that initial video, and suddenly TikTok will push it to like 10,000 people, and everybody's like, oh, I can't wait to see the live, and I'm like, oh, whoops. So you kind of have to be mindful about that kind of thing.
And that's one interesting thing about the videos. You can set viewability, so you can have it be able to be found by anybody, or if you have an old video, you can switch it to only you, so then no one else can see maybe an old video that talks about, hey, we're doing a live 2 weeks ago. Whoops. But you can switch that and keep the content up. The algorithm doesn't know any better, but only you see those old videos, and no one's going to stumble upon some maybe outdated information.
Right. And we've been talking a lot about TikTok and BookTok from the perspective of authors, but it also and especially is a huge thing from the readership standpoint. And all of us are readers in addition to being authors. I think pretty much everyone who is an author, not universally, but most people who are authors are also readers. And so we interact on that side of BookTok as well. And I thought we could talk a little bit about how BookTok has impacted us as readers. And to start off, I'll say that there definitely are specific genres and tropes and things like that in books that are bigger on BookTok than others. Romance is a really big thing on BookTok, and I'm not myself a romance reader. I have started reading some more romance since I've gotten to BookTok because I have friends who are authors who write that. But fantasy romance is especially really big there. Like Court of Thorns and Roses is the BookTok book, pretty much. Anything Colleen Hoover, Victoria Aveyard is a huge author there. She has a really big account. And so those kinds of things are sort of directly into BookTok's wheelhouse. But there are communities for other kinds of books that you can find on there. There is epic fantasy. There are a lot of readers of mystery and suspense books. There's a lot of sci-fi. Pretty much anything that you want to find, there's a sub-community there. Even if the one that's the most visible, which it tends to be romance, and especially spicy romance, is what tends to be the most visible on there, you can find your niche in there, and you can find what you're looking for, and can find a lot of great recommendations of books, and some not so great recommendations as well. Sometimes I've found that books that become really popular, I've tried them and they haven't really been for me. But what have your experiences been as far as readers on there? You want to start that off?
Well, my TBR list is now 3 times as big. But no, it is interesting because, again, there are so many different books that I probably would never have found otherwise. And I'm on Amazon all the time, on all these platforms. But because just the way the algorithm now knows that this is what I'm interested, I'm constantly seeing new books that I'm like, oh, how much money do I have in my bank? Can I afford that right now? So as a reader, it's a lot of fun because you're exploring not just traditionally published, but hybrids and indie and all different kind of fabulous literature that is there. And so as a reader, yes, I will say I've developed a longer wish list than necessary, but it's going to take me a while to get through it. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun on the reader side of thing. And for readers, not just me, because I'm an author side as well, but they like to meet authors. And so it's a fun way where you can actually reach out to someone else that you're enjoying, and the engagement that way is a lot of fun. And it's just another more personal way to meet people virtually. But yeah, I would say as a reader, it's a great way to see new books, meet new people. There are people who go on and have book clubs and everything virtual through this platform. So it's a big engagement on the reader side as well.
Right. How about you two? Who wants to go first? Go ahead.
You go ahead.
So for me, like, I think I was talking with Emily earlier about this, but I lived in Barnes and Noble. Like, I loved going to bookstores and that kind of thing. So I didn't really get like much into like the indie author world. And the way that I kind of started actually with BookTok is find like everyone that I found to start out was a romance author, or that's what they liked. But I started following all these accounts, so everything was just spice all the time. And then out of nowhere, I started getting like a bunch of horror authors, and to find out that there are all these like novellas, things that aren't Stephen King or Joe Hill, basically, was massive for me, because part of my story it's very horror based, but I was constantly reading fantasy and grimdark to kind of satiate what I really liked about it. But I also was looking for horror stories because I like writing that type of thing. So starting to find like people like had never heard of Paul Tremblay, had never heard of Kaylin Patrick Burke, like some of these people that are getting a lot bigger and trending, as far as the quality of their books on BookTok. Yeah, like that. Those were things that I have found within the last 6 months that I've just like poured through their catalog of books that I was not doing before. It was just all whatever was the most popular, thing. So you can find almost any genre, but yeah, you definitely have to kind of like ride the algorithm a little bit to kind of pull that into yourself. But I will say, if you're trying to get into BookTok, you're going to find that the spicy romance stuff is like the top of the food chain, and then you'll start to kind of trickle down into like the fantasy genre and that kind of thing.
And just building off that, you can train your algorithm. Like when you see authors and you see content you like the video, bookmark it, let it play on your phone a couple times, because that shows that, hey, you're really interested in this. And at the same time, when you get videos that maybe aren't books you like or are in the wrong genre, if you hold it down, a little pop-up will come up and you can select that you're not interested. So if you do things like that, you can train the algorithm a lot quicker to show you more things in the genres you're looking for. And I think that's been the biggest way it's impacted me as a reader, is because I read in some smaller genres like steampunk, which aren't always on the headlines just because it has a smaller reader base. So it's not hitting #1 in the Amazon charts. And if you try to go to those genres on something like Amazon, there's a lot of books that are not really steampunk. Like they maybe have some steampunk elements. So the author put the genre as steampunk, and because it's really dark fantasy or it's really epic or whatever, it drives higher even within some of those categories on Amazon. But getting to actually find those communities on BookTok, suddenly I can get a ton of recommendations for books like Mechanical Masquerade by Liz Delton. I would have never found that book if not for BookTok and TikTok and kind of finding some of those niches. And I have Gear Breakers in my bag right now. That was another one that I had never seen in any of the like Facebook groups or groups that, drive up videos or posts based on who's liking and engaging with them, compared to, the same way as authors, we can get our books out. The same thing happens as readers. Books you would have never seen before pop up on your For You page, and then you get to be like, okay, that's mine now. And so I've found a lot of new books that I haven't seen anywhere except for that one random TikTok video that I now get to read and have on my TBR.
Yeah. And one thing that I have observed both as a reader and a writer on TikTok and on BookTok is prior to coming to BookTok, my best-selling version of this book was the ebook version, and it's also on Kindle Unlimited, so I was getting the most reads through that. But after coming to BookTok, very quickly, the paperback became the best-selling version of it, and it's because on BookTok, people like to have a physical thing to hold, to make a video with, and to flip through, and to have a sort of a prop for their videos. And when I started taking off on TikTok, the paperbacks just started selling like hotcakes. And I also have a hardcover version, which it didn't impact that sale as much. I have sold more hardcovers through that, but paperback just far and away has exceeded my ebook sales at this point. And so I think it's interesting how that it seems like the ebooks would be continuing to be sort of the cutting edge because it's selling through social media. It's so easy to go over to Amazon and just click and buy it and read it. But the paperbacks have done so well since coming to BookTok, and I guess people like to have something to show off and to have a prop there. So that's one way that it's kind of influenced a bit. But did you have something to add?
I was going to add something on the author side of BookTok, talking about just going back a little bit to meeting other people. For anybody who is interested in turning into audio, there are a lot of narrators out there who pitch themselves as audiobook narrators, and people just meet each other that way. So if you're an author interested in going and trying to find an audiobook narrator, you can start searching those kind of platforms and niches on BookTok community, and you may find your future narrator that way, which is another neat thing about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a question that's come in from the live stream. It's from Michelle Casts. It says, have you ever had a sponsor on BookTok? If so, did you notice a positive or negative impact? If no, do you want to try a sponsorship? I can go first, and we can go through if you want to. I have never had a sponsor on any of my videos. I would be very careful if I were offered something for sponsorship, because I want to always be authentic with my audience. I think authenticity is a very key thing when you're making content for any social media, especially for TikTok. But if I had a company interested in sponsoring me, or someone interested in doing sponsored videos, I would evaluate if it was a product that I would be interested in doing. Like, I use Scrivener to write all the time. If the Scrivener folks wanted to sponsor me, that would be a natural fit. Or if the people that make Plotter, which I also use, or just any of the tools that I use for writing, I would feel pretty comfortable with doing that because I already talk about those and promote them. If it were like, I don't know, if Hyundai wanted to sponsor, I'd be like, that's good money, but I don't know how I could fit that in. So I don't know. Have any of you done sponsorships?
Not a true sponsorship at the moment, but yeah, I would kind of be like you were saying, if you got that offer, always take a moment and pause and consider, is that a really good fit for you? Because you don't want to dedicate yourself and to a sponsorship where you're going to have to tweak who you are, what you're representing, and affect the readership, because they're going to know that something's different the next time you put out a book. So it can be great. I can see, I might not, but yeah, I would be just cautious.
I think, less on sponsorships, but more with advanced reader copies and ARCs. That's something that we've probably all experienced in some degree that's very similar, where, you don't, just because someone's willing to send you a free book to review it, you don't want to let the fact that you're receiving a free product ever influence, the trust that you're building with your audience. Don't say something's great just because you got something for free, and make sure that it is aligned with you and your brand. Because that's, when you're posting these videos, you're making a relationship. And if you're just, selling out and posting whatever products or things you can get for free, people are going to notice that, and it begins to diminish, what your word and what your videos can mean.
Right.
Yeah, nothing with sponsorships. I honestly don't know how I would react. Like, I've been thinking about it while you guys have been talking. Because I go through a small press too, I don't know, like, contractually, I would have to like run through that just to even see how that would, that there wouldn't be anything there. So I think, because you guys are indie, it may be a little bit easier to make that jump. I don't know.
I know in Trad Pub, there's a lot of, when a new book is being released, they'll get other authors under their same publishing umbrella to talk about the books or review the books. Does that ever happen with you in a small press? Have you done anything with Falstaff's other books, or has it been more?
Other than read them, no. Like, I definitely tout them. The ones that I've read that I loved, yes, I will talk your ear off about why you should check out this author, because they do have some phenomenal, like, people, and they've had people that have been, trad published by massive companies, the top 5 basically, where they are producing new books from these people. AJ Hartley being one, who's here at this con, like, just phenomenal books that, yeah, like, I could talk about forever, like, they're that great. So, yeah.
And you were talking about the opportunity for ARCs and beta reading and things like that. And that's something that's a good point as well for authors, that BookTok is an excellent place to find, especially ARC readers. You can put out a video and say, hey, I have this book coming out. I'm collecting ARC readers. And you can get a whole lot of response to that. And for those who don't know, ARC readers are advanced reader copies of books that when the book is finished, it's already at the final version of it, you're ready to release it, and you'll send out copies to, usually digital copies, to people who've agreed to read it and to leave an honest review on Amazon or Goodreads or places like that. And so there are a lot of people who are on BookTok who just love that kind of thing, that are big readers that can read really fast and will leave good reviews for you, or honest reviews at least. And then there are also people who will solicit different people to say, hey, can I get an ARC book from you, or can I get that? I've actually myself, I'm a slow reader, and I've had to put out videos saying that I'm not available to beta read or ARC read for people. I still get, like, usually it's a message a day from someone asking if I can ARC read or beta read their book, and I enjoy helping sort of mentor people through the writing and publishing process, but I am too slow of a reader to keep up with that kind of thing. But if you're a fast reader and want to get in with it, you definitely can get your share of ARC copies and leave reviews and get into it that way.
I have actually offered for people on TikTok to ARC read for them, but I feel like maybe they seem like a little intimidated because I've always gotten a no, or maybe they think that I'm like I pigeonholed myself into like the horror genre, but I read everything. Like I was out here reading Ice Planet Barbarians earlier this year, you know? So like I mean I'll give anything a chance.
Yeah. We just got some more questions from the stream, and I'll go ahead. Did you? I'm sorry. We have a question from VO by Kurt. It says, "I use TikTok for my poetry readings. Is the pound BookTok an appropriate hashtag to use? Just when you put up a TikTok video, you can add hashtags to it, like on Instagram or anywhere else. And there are a lot of theories of how best to use hashtags, whether to sort of niche down with them or to use bigger ones. I do use the hashtag BookTok with mine, in addition to other hashtags. Do you all use hashtag BookTok?
Yeah, I think, well, there are different kind of videos and that I put out for different reasons. Some of them are more engagement, and those I usually do some of the bigger, hashtag book talk because I'm trying to reach just a general population of readers and authors. And other times I'm trying to promote a specific book, and then I'll only maybe use kind of subgenre hashtags because I really only am aiming, people who like grimdark, dark fantasy, Viking talk, all this kind of stuff, because that's that one, rather than the book talk. So I'm trying to prevent the algorithm from sending that book to someone who might not appreciate it, and then I'll lose a chance of viewability on a potential reader who enjoys that genre. So I do use it, but I kind of pick and choose which type of video that I use some of these more general.
Right. What about you? Do you use hashtag BookTok, or how do you do hashtags?
Absolutely, every video.
Every video.
Every video is like, well, almost every video. It's like a book talk, writer talk, author talk. Like I like to use the general ones. I've just recently started using more genre specific, like fantasy, dark fantasy, grimdark. And I created one that is the Giftborn Chronicles. So anyone that I show the cover in, I'll add that on as well.
Right.
Just to get it out there.
Right.
And I'm going to just jump in there. That's a good thing, is always use your own hashtag. So hashtag your author or pen name and whatever book you're talking about, because down the line, when people start searching for your stuff, they'll find all the videos about it. And again, the more times they see your book, the more likely they're going to be sold on your book.
Good point.
Yeah, I would kind of echo everything Catherine said. It's very video dependent because Jason talked a little bit about how romance and spice books are really big on the TikTok platform. And I don't want to disappoint readers, especially if my video doesn't specify if it does or doesn't have that kind of content. I don't want people to see it and be like, oh, this is great, and then start reading it and be like, where is all the romance? So especially anything with my book, I try to make sure that it is very genre specific, so the right people are seeing the videos that can actually convert and won't be disappointed. I don't want anyone to read my book and be like, this is not what I asked for.
And one thing that is important to keep in mind also is that the TikTok algorithm is changing all the time. And so it's kind of a try and fail thing to see when hashtags are effective at different times. I've done a lot of videos with no hashtags at all, just experimenting. And at certain times, they'll do even better than ones that I do put hashtags on. I do use the BookTok hashtag, but it really depends on what mood the algorithm's in at that time and what they're experimenting with. We've got about a little less than 15 minutes. We'll try to get through some more questions here. I've got another one that came in from the stream that's asking, how do you set up a BookTok account? BookTok is just a community within TikTok. So you set up your TikTok account through the TikTok app like you normally would, and then you start scrolling through. At first, your feed, it's called the For You page on TikTok, will be a lot of random stuff. It will be people doing dances. It will be animal videos. It will be all kinds of things. But if you search specifically for BookTok and the BookTok hashtag, like we were talking about, you'll start seeing a lot of BookTok content from authors, from readers, and things about books. And if you start interacting with those, if you start liking them, leaving comments, favoriting them, then TikTok will see that that's what you're interested in. And very quickly, it's usually over the course of just a couple of days, it'll figure out that that's what you want to be seeing, and it'll start bringing you book-related videos. And that's how you get into BookTok and how you essentially set up your account. Then you can start making your own videos and tag them to get into that. So that's kind of how that is. Since that's kind of a straightforward thing, let's get to the next question, because I want to get through this stuff. We had a question that came from BookTok prior to this, asking what kind of content creation strategies we use. So I'd be really interested in hearing about that. We've got about 12 minutes left. So do you have specific content creation strategies, schedules, or how do you batch content, or how do you do it?
I love batching content because less is more for me. But one fun thing about the platform is that you can create videos, put them on draft. And then kind of while I'm here, since I don't have a lot of time to go sit up and film some of my videos, I will just go grab one of my drafts and post them periodically throughout the day. So I'm still playing with that algorithm, still putting out my normal content, even though I'm doing a different event on that day. So batching content's a great thing to do. And as for strategy, one fun thing, and maybe it's a little research for you, if you start looking at different authors, you'll see some like Jason here, again, really likes the engagement. Others just show their book. I'm a little all over the place, but I post multiple times a day, 3 to 4. I know that sounds like a lot. It's really not, but it does sound like a lot. But I usually do
It's a lot.
I batch things. It's great. But I usually do an engagement just, again, to, get that conversation going. I usually make sure one of my videos is reflective of one of my specific books. And sometimes in the other ones, or maybe some kind of humor for writing or humor about a reader. And so I just try to make sure I always have a book and an engagement on my thing. And that's kind of my base strategy for me. It's just work a little engagement and work a little bit on the pitch side.
I think for me, a big thing is I've talked a lot about how TikTok is unique in that lots of new people can see your content. And on the flip side, your followers are not going to see 100% of your content.
Mm-hmm.
There's some authors that literally repost the same 5 videos every single day. And I don't recommend that. But one thing I like to do is when I get an idea, I look at it from different perspectives. So I've seen some people talking about kind of 3 pillars. So you have entertainment, inspiration, and educational. And so if you get an idea like, okay, I have the chosen one tropes in my book. Let's make an advertisement talking about my chosen ones. I'll show my book. I'll do the page flips. It'll have some quotes. It'll be fun. It's entertaining. Now let's do an educational one. Let's talk about the chosen one trope. Let's say a little about what I know about it, how I used it in my books, and, approach that same idea of the chosen one trope from an educational perspective. And then, let's do kind of an inspiration one. Let's get people talking. Let's say, how has that trope been in your books? Or what is your favorite piece of media with that trope? So you can take the same idea and look at it from different perspectives. And if there is that diehard follower that's looking at 100% of your content, it may seem a little repetitive, but most of the time that's not going to happen. And they are still different and approaching it from a different angle. So that's been, for me, to hit that 3 to 5 posts a day. I can't come up with that many ideas. Like, maybe, Catherine, that's not a lot for you. It's a lot for me. So just finding a way to take those ideas and look at them from different perspectives and make multiple videos. And then, like she said, batch them. So I'm not posting all my chosen ones on one day. We don't just have like the chosen Monday. But then I'll post those videos throughout the week or the month.
Yeah, I don't batch videos. I'm a discovery writer and I'm a discovery book talker because I will just straight up, if it's 11:03 a.m. and I feel like doing a video and I've got 20 minutes to do it, that's usually how I do a video. And then I like to hit 3. 3 seems like the good number for me. Most days I like to have a video where I'm doing like maybe a trending sound where I'm kind of relating that to like plot holes or something like that. And then I'll do a video where it is something like it's showing the cover of my book. And then I like to do something where I'm talking about either like just a writing update or just like a book update, like, hey, these are, books that are on my TBR that I recommend, like that kind of stuff.
Right. I'm very process driven in general, both my writing and my TikToking and all of that kind of stuff. I'm very much an outliner with my writing and with my TikTok content. I try to put out, like Catherine, I try to put out 3 to 4 videos a day on weekdays. I've noticed that weekends have a little bit lower engagement, so I do fewer videos on weekends. I'll usually do just a couple of videos on each weekend day. And so I do batch my videos. I will keep a list of topics that I want to talk about. It's a lot of my content is tips for writing and self-publishing and advocating for self-publishing and encouraging writing. So as I think of things, I'll keep a list of topics and then I'll sit down, and when I have the energy to record, because the energy is not there every day, I'll sit down and I'll record a bunch of videos at once, and then I will edit them after the fact, but I'll just sort of batch record all of them. And then as I see trending or as I hear trending sounds that I think are funny or that I can relate to my topics, I'll sort of just save those into my favorites on TikTok. And then when I'm in a mood to record, I'll go through those and record videos for those. So I usually try to keep about 20 or so drafts in my draft folder at a time, so that if I have a series of days that I don't feel like recording stuff, I'm set there. I can sort of pull from that and just put them up there. And prior to Dragoncon, I recorded some things that I could put up at least one a day. And then I am actually recording some stuff while I'm here. I'm doing daily recaps. But my strategy is really to try to just balance the things that I enjoy talking about, the tips and talking about writing, talking about publishing, with promoting my book. And then also, I really like puns. I'm not a dad, but I love dad jokes, and I try to do some things like that on there. And so I have a lot of humorous videos that use the trending sounds to try to do that. So that's sort of the balance that I strike. But yeah, like you, I try to do like 3 to 4 videos a day. That seems to be from what I've heard from a lot of people who are influencers, which I don't consider myself to be, but I take the advice that they say 3 to 4 is a good number to grow your account quickly. And so I try to get in there. I don't always, but that's sort of the strategy that I go with for that.
Do you guys, this is just for my own personal edification, do you guys, how many batches can you, like, how many can you save draft wise?
I think it's close to 100.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think
I'm hitting that max.
I've had like 3 or 4.
I was
3 or 4
prepared
is
for
like
this
the
weekend,
max.
and I was just like, but it was like, you have no more room. Just post your videos. It's like,
Okay, that's good to know.
I think it's even more than that because my friend Kelsey Gonzalez, I was talking with her, and she said that she keeps, I can't remember the number she said, but it's just like a ton of batches that she keeps. I've had up to 70.
She drops like 8 a day or something, I feel like sometimes. I do.
Yeah.
She definitely is getting them out there.
Yeah.
I think it can also depend on the space on your phone because I hit like 15 and TikTok will stop opening. So
that's probably true.
Yeah. So I've hit around 70 batches before. I'm way down on that at this point, but it may be just phone dependent.
And can I make a comment for anybody who's about to get a TikTok who may not have one at the moment? There are 2 options right off the bat. There is what they qualify the personal account and a business account, and they both have their perks and they both have their hindrances. And you just have to decide, as because there are authors who do both. They'll decide I'm going to be an author and represent on a personal account because it gives me more freedom on the music choice, or I'm an author and I use a business account because there are certain perks that way, but it will limit music because of copyright and all that kind of stuff. So I have less choices on the music, but I have other perks, especially early on, like adding a live link onto my account, which was nice because then people were being sent to my links page on my website and being able to quickly find everything. So as an author, if you're just starting out, look at the options you have and decide what you feel is best for you.
Right. And we're getting down to the last few minutes here, so we're going to wrap up. I want to give everybody an opportunity to sort of plug what we have and where you can find us. All of us do have methods of contact up here. We have business cards we can hand out. And I don't know, I had said on TikTok if anybody had books so that they wanted signed or anything, they could bring them along. And I also have book plates that can be signed here. And I'm sure everyone else, if you have anything, would be happy to do that. But so feel free to come up and get those from us at the end. But let's go ahead and wrap up and see what we've got to plug. You want to start at the end and work down this way?
Sure. So, I mean, the 2 books that are out, this is Volume 1 and Volume 2 of the Giftborn Chronicles. It is dark fantasy, grimdark, kind of gets more from the fantasy to the horror as the series progresses. Of course, I've got some cards up here if you want to take one. It's got my information on there, and for TikTok, Instagram, the links for Amazon and that kind of thing. Right now, I don't have any really on me, but I know that Falstaff has a booth like in the Mart, so they probably still, hopefully don't, but maybe still have some copies left there. I plan on swinging by there at some point today if they do have copies left there and signing them. So yeah, that's where they are currently at locally.
all right, this is the first book in my epic fantasy series, Shattered Souls. It's very D&D inspired fantasy where you have like your little party of heroes. And like I said, I'm obsessed with crafts, so you can get sprayed book edges because I just have the books sitting at home and I start spraying the edges, and now that's what you guys get. So, but I have my business cards up here, and they do have, so the series, there's the main trilogy, and then my novellas are kind of overlap with Antagonist. So if you want to check out the series and just get started, you can get a free novella on the back of my business card up here.
Excellent. Well, this is the first book in my series. It's called Akathar's Greatest Trick, and it came out last year. I'm working on the second book now, and the concept for it, for the first book, is it's about the most famous stage magician in a realm where real magic exists but is outlawed, and it's going to be an ongoing epic fantasy series. And you can get my business card here, but my website is just myname.com, and you can find my TikTok address here. And if you go there, you can also sign up for my mailing list and get a free novella prequel to to this book. And if you go to my TikTok, there's a links page there. There's a link tree that you can find all of my places that you can find stuff online. And if you are on TikTok, feel free to reach out to me. I always enjoy hearing from folks, and I like helping out with questions about publishing and writing. And that's sort of my niche with helping folks on there and doing sort of mentorship kinds of things. So again, my name is Jason Doro, and that's where you can find me.
Absolutely same. Thank you, Jason, for saying all of that. But yeah, everything he said.
Okay, so again, I am Catherine E. Webel, and again, going back to the fact that I'm a high fantasy author, I have representation of 2 of my series, though I actually have 3, and I'll try to go as quickly as I can. The one you don't see is my young adult fantasy and some of the genres that I've recently found, because on TikTok I've been learning a lot of things. They're qualified as noble bright, so this kind of positive adventure fantasy, a little like Lord of the Rings. It's a portal fantasy. It's set in a multiverse with 12 magical worlds, and every so often existence is threatened during that time. The chosen one character called the Jed arises and tries to attempt to set things right. So that's a series for my young adult, and again, it's a little more on the positive side of the fantasy. My debut series started with Asara's Claws. It's a complete series of 4 books, and it's a war shifter fantasy set in a kingdom, again, on the verge of war, where both the human race and the shapeshifters called Therimorphs have to decide if they can push aside their differences to unite and fend off a greater threat. And my final series is actually a novella series for adults. It is on the grimdark side of fantasy, so it gets very gritty, and it's based on Norse mythology, so a lot of Vikings, and readers will get to explore the 9 realms in and around Yggdrasil. Yes, you'll glimpse the Loki and Thor, but that's way at the end. I'm starting with some really obscure lore and immersing you in the Norse mythology. So this book I have right here is actually the first 4 of my novellas bundled in an omnibus version, but there are 7 out of that one currently. And I have a bunch of little things you can take home with you, including business cards and QR codes and stickers if you like.
So thank you so much. I know it's not easy on a Sunday morning at 10 a.m. after a Saturday night at Dragoncon to come in. So thank you for being here. And yeah, feel free to come up and grab some of our stuff. And thank you so much for coming to the Book Talk panel.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions, but we're too shy to come to the microphone, I think a couple of us will be lingering. So don't feel shy to come up and say hi and ask whatever.